Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Back from Norman, Oklahoma. I wanted to record a show over the weekend. I just didn't have time, to be honest with you. I didn't have time to do a show and do it justice. I will make it up to you. I'm going to do my best to make up one of those shows I owe you this week, even though it is a very busy week. Excuse me. Tomorrow is my mother's birthday. And she has scheduled a birthday lunch for herself that I must attend, so I can't record tomorrow. But I got to hustle down, go to that lunch, get back in time for baseball against Samford. If you'd like to know a little more about Samford, if you're a Jeans Page member, and you certainly should be, you can head on over to jeanspage.com. Had an exclusive interview with Coach Tony David this morning, kind of previewing the matchup and kind of talking about where they are. Got a couple of former Diamond Dawgs on that team doing exceptionally well for them, including Jeffrey Entz, who currently leads a team in batting right now. Yeah. So you can check that out, and we're making it easier than ever to be a Jeans Page member. 50% off the annual subscription price. That's a special we're running now through the 27th. Don't delay. I mean, nobody covers Mississippi State like we do. You get 10 plus pieces of content every single day specific to Mississippi State from our staff, not to mention things you may get from the 247 National Desk. So it's worth your time and effort to come be a part of it as we cover everything. You know, the portal's open now. No big surprise, I don't think, for many of you. Kanye Clary's in the portal. No big surprise. If you're a Jeans Page member, I teased that over the weekend, that we expected that to happen, and it happened first thing this morning. We are keeping our eyes on a couple more spots, too, as Coach Jans and his staff have their exit interviews with players. There will be some guys that say, hey, maybe I need to just go somewhere else to get on the court somewhere. And we appreciate everyone's contributions to Mississippi State athletics, even if it's not a big contribution. We appreciate them choosing us, giving their best efforts, whether it works out or not. As we say on this show all the time, you only have a short time in life to play ball. And so if you are one of those people that have already used a year of eligibility or two and you're not playing as much as you'd like to, perhaps you would be better off somewhere else, and we would certainly like to fill that roster spot with perhaps somebody else that can make more of a contribution. So all of that understood, a lot going on, for sure. Ladies play tonight. By the time you listen to this show, that game has probably already been played. But ladies do play tonight against USC. We'll spend a little time previewing that. I will tell you, of course, I completed the SEC circuit at Oklahoma. It may not be a big deal to you. It's a big deal to me. It is. I have covered a Mississippi State game now on all 16 SEC campuses. A few things I'll tell you. The folks in Norman are great. I mean, they really are. They really, really are. I was treated exceptionally well. It kind of helps when you get there that people kind of know your work, at least the people that work in media relations. So that's helpful. But they're super nice. Of course, I interviewed Skip Johnson last week. He couldn't have been better. But just the rank and file people in game management, and I don't say this necessarily as a criticism of Mississippi State, but there are some things they do that we can do a little better. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody you meet there is happy you're there. They thank you for coming, things of that nature. I mean, just little minor things, but they stand out. And it's kind of a cute stadium. I mean, it is, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. The crowd was into the game, but it's not a big crowd. Capacity, it's about 3,500. Big crowd on Friday, pretty good crowd Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, it was a good experience other than the fact that we didn't win the series. For sure. We're going to break that down for you. Learned a few things, too, that maybe you don't know. I didn't know. Maybe you know. Maybe you're smarter than me. I don't know. You could be. Chances are many of you are. And there's chances many of you aren't. But there is a difference between an Okie and an Oklahoman. Did you know that? I didn't. And I had somebody explain it to me in a very nice way. An Okie is someone that lives in Oklahoma that is from a rural area. An Oklahoman is somebody that is more from the metro area, and they consider Norman to be kind of the cultural capital of Oklahoma. Now, that might be a little Chamber of Commerce pitch on their behalf, but it is nice. And the town's kind of built up. Everything around campus is pretty new and modern. You can tell they've got a pretty good infrastructure there to kind of keep things around campus new and nice and enticing for guests and visitors. It's cool. The campus itself is pretty good. It's not great. I know some people close to Oklahoma may not like me saying that, but I'm a little more well-traveled than many of them. It's not like as beautiful as maybe Athens or University of Tennessee, and certainly not more beautiful than Mississippi State. But I mean, how could it be? But yeah, good experience. And about the Okie, Oklahoma thing, they don't mean Okie with a negative connotation. It's like if you're called an Okie or call yourself an Okie, it just means you're from the country. And one of the event management people there said, there's not a big difference between people that go to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. You just picked a different field of study. And so it's a rivalry, and they want to win it. It's Bedlam, as they talk about. But he said, it's not a 365-day-a-year rivalry like maybe perhaps it is here. I told him, I said, when the folks at Ole Miss call us, leg humpers or whatever, there's no affection attached to it. It's true. But, good experience. The next time we play out there in anything, and we'll be out there in football here in a couple years, and I can't wait to go, then you should go. I mean, you owe it to yourself to go. It was a really, really nice experience, some really good restaurants. We ate at Coach's Corner, just off campus there. And Corey Wilson is one of the owners and proprietors of that establishment. That name sounds familiar. Well, he played at Oklahoma, and his brother is former Mississippi State defensive lineman and DC, Chris Wilson. How about that? Super cool. Super cool. Also had some Torchy's tacos. That's kind of a Midwestern thing or a Southwestern thing. It was good. I had the Caribbean jerk tacos. I highly recommend those. I didn't get the slaw. You might like the slaw. I don't like it. I think it's ridiculous on tacos. It's just my feeling. But nevertheless, good experience. Even though we didn't quite close the deal on Saturday, and certainly felt like on Sunday we had a chance and didn't capitalize. So I'm going to save my thoughts about the direction of Mississippi State baseball for the end of the show. But we'll break down the show. We'll take a look at what the Mississippi State men did. We'll preview a little bit of the women. We've got a great top 10 list for you today that is sure to make you feel old. And then we'll talk a little bit about baseball as we get ready to get out of here. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of the show. We love Bulldog Burger Company. They've been great to us, a great part of our community. And civically minded, right? Bulldog Burger Company is involved in a lot of good things that are happening in Starkville and in the communities in which they operate. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowood area. Go by and check them out next time you're in town or on the way to town. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They will make you and everybody around you better looking. We all need more of that. Find your own favorites. If you're a newbie to Bulldog Burger Company, let me recommend the Bulldog itself. Just go with the Bulldog. You can't go wrong with that. It's a very consistent, straight-ahead, rock and roll hamburger. I think you'll have fun with it. And maybe next time you come back in subsequent visits, maybe branch out a little bit, find your own favorites. Have the Pimentology, add bacon, maybe. That'll put some hair on your chest. You get that chocolate shake to go. Ride that ride home with a smile. And I still believe the most substantial salad portion that I've ever had in my life is the BLT salad at Bulldog. I like it grilled. You may like it fried. It's up to you. I'm not judging, right? But I like to keep it grilled. Try to keep my girlish figure here. But nevertheless, Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. Okay, Mississippi State pitcher Pico Kahn, named SEC Pitcher of the Week for his exploits on Friday night. And listen, this was a great win for Mississippi State, okay? Let's just start there. And then we'll get into Saturday and Sunday, and we'll address those as individual games. But the Friday game, you're going to get a lot of this on Friday nights in the SEC. And how good is it to know that we have a true Friday night dude that can kind of go head-to-head and keep us in a ball game when the other team has their premium pitcher on the mound. The game starts out well enough. It truly does. And here's a hot take for you right now. Some people may not like this. I think Sawyer Reeves needs to play every day. Because, he's got some home run power, but he's also gap-to-gap guy. He can steal some bases for you. I just think he's more dynamic as a hitter, and I think that's the direction I would go. He didn't get a lot of reps at second during the fall because, we were careful with Cup, and so he played short exclusively. He has not played second base since he was like a sophomore in high school, and so he's still kind of getting into it. But the very first pitch of the game, he kind of gets a C&I single the other way to right field. The ball was hit pretty good, but, right-handed hitter are kind of cheating up the middle. And, again, I think that shows the dynamic nature of Sawyer Reeves as a hitter, that he can hit a ground ball hard enough the other way to scoot it through for a single. And then he's still second. So right away, you've got a runner in scoring position. And what's interesting here, too, we don't get the big hit from Reese or from Sullivan. Matter of fact, we strike out with a runner in scoring position. And right now you're all thinking, oh, my gosh, here we go. Reed Stallman then hits kind of a chopper back toward the middle, and the shortstop and second baseman collide there. Sure, it's a tough play. It is. And I don't know if they would have got Stallman anyway. Shortstop probably had the best chance. Baseball is a right-to-left game. The second baseman ranging back toward the middle is not going to be able to get enough on that throw. He's playing second for a reason, right? But the shortstop, the only chance they had to make a play, they ultimately ruled this thing an error. But it allows Reeves to go to third and extends the inning. And then Bryce Chance hits a chopper out to short and hustles down the line, beats the throw, runs, scores. It's 1-0 State. And when you look at what Kyson Witherspoon has done this year, that is very significant. To strike early, to strike first, to get Pico a chance to pitch with a lead. And what do? We walk the leadoff guy in the first, but we get around it with 3 flyouts. And the game pretty much stayed there for a while. They had a real chance there in the second, and I thought it was one of the better pitching performances we've seen this year as far as navigating through trouble. We dole out a 1-out walk, and then there was a single to right field after a lengthy at-bat. We just couldn't finish him. Give Christensen some credit, the left-handed hitter. It's a left-on-left matchup. But, he gets down 0-2, works at 2-2, and then fouls off 3 pitches, and then eventually singles to right field, sends a runner to second, and then we complicate matters by hitting Deshaun Willis, who proved to be a big factor on Saturday, and a really, really fast runner, too. He can almost steal at will, almost like Enrique Bradfield in that respect. But now bases are loaded, and now you're thinking, okay, they're at least going to get one. We just got to get an out. We'll trade the run for the out here. But instead, Pico's like, fellas, I got you. And we get a strikeout here. Deshaun Harris there, pardon me. So we get a strikeout there. And so then all of a sudden you start thinking, hey, we're a pitch away from getting out of this thing, and we don't have to turn a double play to do it. And then we get walked. The leadoff hitter flies out to right field. Kind of gave it a ride a little bit, but there was no wind, and we run it down. And that's really the last time that Pico had any anxiety to deal with. That's it. Bottom of third, he hits the first guy, and he didn't have his best stuff. I talked about this in postgame, he admitted he didn't feel his best. But we get a strikeout. So we hit the first guy, and we strike out the side. Now, again, the game just kind of holds where it is. And again, that's what's going to happen when you got great pitching. We get the leadoff guy on in the 6th, can't get him around. So it's a 1-0 game going to the 7th. And then, bad situation happened, could have been worse. Russ Highfield squares to bunt, to get a bunt down, to get a leadoff guy on. And not to mention, you just want to make the guy get out of rhythm. You want to make him field his position. You don't want him sitting up there just kind of rocking and firing. And then Highfield is hit it appeared to be in the face. The replays that we saw in the box show that it hit the helmet first, and it appears that it pushed the mask of his helmet into the bridge of his nose. And I'm sure that had to be reset. But Ross was not rushed to the hospital. Saw medical on Saturday morning. Got a shiner. Yeah. I mean, got a bloody nose and a shiner. But he wants to play. And saw him again yesterday, kind of walking around, kind of dealing with it, but had the hoodie over his head and wearing sunglasses, all that good stuff. But Ross is going to be okay. And again, we wanted to get him back home, have our medical people check him out. And so I'm sure we'll get an update tomorrow in postgame after Samford. Michael O'Brien pinch runs for Highfield. And Highfield, obviously, if Ross gets on base, he can steal two, but O'Brien's still second here. So here we are again, kind of manufacturing the run. Stevenson flies out to left, allows O'Brien to go to third, and then Dylan Cupp just does a job. 0-2 count, kind of just throws the bat out there and flies out to left. The run scores without the benefit of a hit. The hit comes later. After the run is home and it's 2-0, then Sawyer Reeves singles to center again. And that chases Jamie Hitt from the game. But, Jamie Hitt comes in and it chases Kyson Witherspoon. Pardon me. But, it's 2-0, and you feel like that insurance run is so incredibly big. Well, it turns out it was, because in bottom of 7, we make a mistake here, and they get the run in. And we get a one-out fly out. We get a fly out for the first out, and then a strikeout looking. So, you're a pitch away. Stone Simmons in the game. And you're just ready to get out of here. And they roll a ground ball up to short, and we boot it. And so now we've extended the inning, and then the leadoff hitter doubles to right center on an 0-2 count. And maybe we catch too much at the plate there, but the reality of it is we should be in the dugout, right? We make an error. We're too close to the plate on 0-2. They double. Good hitters are going to do that. Good situational hitting there. Makes it a 2-1 ball game, and then we get Branch, a second baseman, to ground out. So top of 8, we go. We get a leadoff double here. Noah Sullivan pulls one inside the bag at first, kind of inside-out job there. And you're thinking, okay, we're going to get that run right back. And then Stallman strikes out, but Bryce comes up with a single to left, not deep enough to chance it. But now you got runners on the corners. And again, a chance to just get a productive out here. Just do a job. Fly ball to right will get it done. You don't have to hit a home run. We don't need a backside gap in the double. Double in the... Oh, my gosh. A double in the backside gap, we don't need that. And Hines grounds into a double play. It's a 4-6-3. I mean, really anything there into the outfield is going to probably get the run home. We really needed it there. And we did some things in this game that were good to get the first 2 runs, and you had a chance to really make them pay here with 3 hits in the inning, and we weren't able to get it done. Luke Dotson comes in, gives up a single, and then we roll up the double play, 5-4-3. Excellent job there. And then we get Taki to strike out swinging. And then top of 9, we go 1-2-3. And then they come in, and we give them a one-out walk. Lengthy at bat there, but we give them a one-out walk. And then it's a fly out to center. And then it's a strikeout swinging. And so Bulldogs win the pitcher's duel 2-1. And I was like, hey, this is so huge for our confidence, to win a one-run ball game. But for the bullpen to really kind of stand up and bow up here. Great start from Pico. He advances his record to 4-0. Kyson Witherspoon suffers his first loss of the year. Drops to 5-1. 6th start. Finally gets a loss. And Luke Dotson gets a save there. And not a lot of offensive highlights here, but Sawyer Reeves goes 2 for 4 for the Bulldogs, as does Bryce Chance. Stayed with just 7 hits on the night, but we knew that hits and runs would come at a premium. And it turns out that our guys were just simply a little bit better. Pico Kong gets 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 10 Ks, 2 walks, and then the 2 hit by pitches. Those 105 pitches. And so you look at that and you say, hey, 2 hits and no runs. But, we kind of had some self-inflicted wounds there. And again, some of that's just Pico just didn't have his best stuff. Stone gives up the 1 run, but it is unearned because, again, we should have been out of it. And Luke Dodson gives up the 1 hit and walk. But I'd like that to be a little bit cleaner. But for Luke to go on the road and have the opportunity to to just close one out. Really, really good for Dottie, for sure. So that's your your first game recap, and we felt like, hey, we're in pretty good position here, right? And so at this point, let's go ahead and give out our Player of the Weekend award, courtesy of closewithblair.com. Blair Chandler, my friend, your friend, our collective friend in the mortgage industry. You guys know him by now. When you need to get a loan closed, that's the name you know. 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. Blair, 24 years of experience in the mortgage industry. Get his expertise working for you. He can construct loans in a way to give them the best chance of getting approved through underwriting and getting you into a home. And it's not going to be one of these bad deals, right? He's going to get you the best deal possible. There's a reason he's been in this industry 20-plus years. He's a Bulldog through and through. Has a place here in town, season ticket holder in multiple sports. He rides a wave of emotion just like you do, but he's not limiting his business opportunities to just Mississippi State people. If you're a rival fan listening, Blair is licensed to practice in multiple states, and we've had several Boneyard listeners over the years close with Blair. But our player of the weekend is we're going to go with Pico. We're going to follow the SEC here, and Pico's numbers this year. And I don't know that people fully appreciate this. There were a lot of people, when I first mentioned that I thought Pico would be the odds-on favorite to be the Friday night guy, people were like, oh, no, I just don't see it, Steve. I don't see it. Well, it's worked out so far. And, we're 2 weekends into the SEC. And you look at this, 35 and 2/3 of an inning pitched. Guys, he's allowing 18 hits. We talk about being one per. He's a half per. Right, and has allowed 10 earned runs this year. 53 strikeouts against 7 walks. That'll get it done. And then has only allowed 8 extra base hits. That's pretty significant. It certainly is. And when he's on the mound, the combined score of those games, 52-19 in favor of Mississippi State. Of course, he didn't take the loss, but we took an 8-7 loss against Texas because the bullpen just couldn't hold a game. But Pico pitched well enough to win. So he is your player of the weekend. All right, that done. Let's get to game number 2. And it's a wild one, as you guys are well aware. And I'm sitting there in the first inning thinking, okay, this thing will be over in 7 innings, and I can go get some tacos, and we'll get to the hotel, and we'll regroup and get ready to go tomorrow. That's what I'm thinking. But it ended up being a wild game that I think all of us will agree we should have won. We had plenty of opportunities. Give them credit, they made one more play than we did, one more pitch than we did. But it's a game that I think every one of us looks back and says, you know what, we should have won this game. And I don't know what would have happened in the ninth inning. It would have been tied. None of us do. But we open up and we spot them a 5 spot right out of the gate, and then 2 more in the second. So it is a 7-0 game, 2 innings in, and a lot of that is because of Bulldog errors. 5 errors, and it'd be one thing if it was one guy. It was spread around. We had kind of so many opportunities too. You go back and you think about those errors. I think some of us maybe are losing sight of the fact we should have scored in the first inning. Sawyer Reeves, again, on the first pitch of the game, doubles to left field. So you got a runner in scoring position, 1 pitch into the game, and then we don't get him home. Reese flies out to left. Sullivan gets on the fielder's choice because Sawyer Reeves runs into an out. That didn't help matters either. It's kind of been lost in all of this, right? And I think the play is going to be made there at first, but you got to wait on the throw, at the very least. But you run into an out there, and then Stallman walks. Right? And who knows what happens? Like, if you stayed there or you go on the throw, is the throw in the dirt? You never know. You remove the whole possibility, and then Stallman walks there, puts 2 men on, and then Chance flies out to right field. But, we get 3 runners on in the inning and then run our way into an out. And he's got to do better than that. He knows that. But, again, you go back and look at this whole thing in the first. And Ben Davis, and I love Ben Davis. I think he's better out of the bullpen. I think we've tried this. It's just not working. He's just not ready for this yet. He gets a start against Queens, and he's outstanding. And then really struggled to find his own against Texas and really struggled to miss bats against Oklahoma. It's a hard line out to second to start the game. People forget that. There were loud outs in this ball game. So they're barreling him up pretty good. Walk lines out, Sawyer Reeves climbs a ladder and picks it. Then Gamble singles, and Carmichael singles, and then Willis. We get a ground ball to the right side there. Sawyer's got to take the out at first. But we're thinking, it's got to be perfect, but maybe we can get two. Discretion's a better part of valor. You take that out at first, and you know what? Now it's 2 outs. But instead, we try to do too much, and everybody's safe. Everybody's safe. Run comes around and scores. It's crazy. Then Taki doubles to left field. Another run is in. And then Branch, ground ball to short. We should be out of the inning right here. Should be out of the inning, but we're not. We boot it. Now it's 3-0. Christensen then singles through. It's 4-0. We complicate matters by walking Muddler. And then we get out of it with the, a fielder's choice here. Or strikeout. Fielder's choice for the second out. And then, run scores. It's just every bit of this. We should have been out of the inning, but we weren't. And if you get out of there at 2-0, it's one thing. But instead, we get out of there 5-0 and go right back to open up the bottom of second. Gamble reaches on an error by Hines. So we've had second base, first base, and now shortstop. And then we get a ground ball to third. The runner's already at second. The only play is to first. And we lose the handle on it. So now all 4 of the infielders have made errors. It's nuts. And then Willits, the shortstop, singles back up the middle. Run scores. We go get Sierra. He gives up a little bit, but finally gets us out of it. But it's 7-0, and I'm sure many of you decided, I'm going to go find something else to do with my time. However, Bulldogs weren't done. Reeves with a ground rule double. And again, I think that's why he needs to be leading off and playing every game. He's become one of your more consistent hitters. And he is a guy that can, work gap to gap. And here we go, a ground rule double down the right field line there. And then Ace Reese homers to center field. 7-2, you're thinking, okay, we just got to chip away. We got to get a hold somewhere. Well, then, next thing you know, Stallman doubles to right. Chance singles to center. And then Stallman scores on a wild pitch. And then Hines homers, which ties him with Bruce Castoria for third all-time in Mississippi State history. Now it's a 7-5 game, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. Now it's a baseball game, and there's plenty of baseball left to be played, and we made sure of that. Willis and singles up the middle, and then still second and third. Those are the things that just drive me crazy. And it's a sac fly to left. They get the run, one of those runs back. It's 8-5, and next thing you know, it's Willits homers a little bit later in the inning to make it a 10-5 game. So we went from being down 2 to being down 5 again. And then this crazy thing happens. State really starts rocking Crossland. And we hit him pretty well. But in the fourth here, Cup doubles down the left field line. 9-hole hitter doing a great job for us. Reeves then walks again, so he's on base for the third consecutive time in 4 innings. And then Reese hits a 3-run bomb. Now it's a 10-8 game. They bring in Michael Catalano. And then Sullivan welcomes him to the game with a double. And then Stallman singles to right. And then we kind of give away an out right here. I don't know what we're gaining here, but we decided to steal here at second. And we get thrown out. Kind of giving an out away here. And then Chance grounds out to third, run scores. And now it's a 10-9 ball game. And you're like, okay, we've overcome those errors early. And yes, we prefer not to make them. Okay, let's get that established. But we've overcome that, and now it's basically a 1-0 ball game here. It's a 1-run game headed into the middle innings. It's not even late yet. And what do you know? We go up here and we get a clean inning and keep them off the board and post a 0. Come back in the top half of the 5th, and then Hunter Hines, who had 3 hits on the day, singles to right center. Powell strikes out swinging. That was kind of a recurring theme of the weekend. Dylan Cup walks, Reeves singles up the middle. Hines comes around to score to tie the ball game. And it was a key moment in this game, I thought, right here. Okay, so Ace has been killing him, right? He's absolutely killing him. And so as great as it's gone, they bring in Gavin Jones to come in here and kind of compete with Ace, and he strikes him out on 3 pitches. And again, you got to kind of think about where you are here. You got a couple runners on. Base knock somewhere makes a difference. Sullivan then comes in and singles into the 6 hole to load the bases. Reed Stallman comes up again, a chance to do damage. You've got them on the ropes. They're shocked. They're up 7-0, and now all of a sudden it's a tie game. The bases are loaded. The pressure is on them. The fun is in our dugout. And we strike out looking. And it was a borderline pitch, but it's too close to take. Spoiled the pitch, get ready to go again. The pressure is on him. This is the guy that comes in out of the bullpen, and he's staring down the barrel of a loaded gun in a ball game that is rapidly getting away from them. You have to keep the pressure on him. And taking a borderline pitch is not the way to do it. Now, of course, if he walks in a run right here, we may be having a different conversation today. But Stallman's got to make that, at least foul that ball off. You can't just take that hoping for the walk. He didn't like it. He had a few things to say. Again, I thought it was borderline, but it's way too close to take. But nevertheless, it's a tie game. We bring in Chase Hungate. I saw some social media traffic. People were upset about that. Thought Chase did pretty well for us. Just my personal opinion. But he comes in and posts another 0. And top of 6, again, a chance for us to take the lead. We go 1, 2, 3, bottom of 6. We walk the leadoff hitter, but then we roll up a double play ball. And it just kind of felt like right here we had wrestled momentum away for them, right? Begin to kind of stack some zeros. You give them the leadoff walk. You erase that. And then you get a harmless fly out to right. And in top of 7, Joe Powell, who struggled mightily at the plate, gives you a leadoff single. An interesting thing about this, Gavin Jones is in the game, and he gets 2-0, and then Skip Johnson comes out to change pitchers. He signals to the bullpen, the pitcher runs in, the field umpire checks him, and then they say, oh, wait a minute, you can't do that. You can't do that. And so they send him back, and then ultimately Joe gets the single. Then they make the change. The rule is, and I didn't know this until yesterday, the rule is you cannot change pitchers mid-count on a hitter that's leading off an inning unless there is an injury to the pitcher. So he has to finish the first at-bat. If he comes out and he starts the at-bat, he has to finish the at-bat. And so Joe gets a single. And thankfully, we make it pay. Kupp, great bunt here, and they knock him down here. I mean, the ball's kind of tailing in. Great job for him to get it down. Advances the runner. Reeves, again, been on base 3 consecutive times. He strikes out swinging here. Really needed a hit from him there. Reese walks, but then Noah Sullivan picks everybody up. Lengthy at-bat, a great at-bat here. Gets ahead 2-0. Next thing you know, it's a 2-2 count. It's a full count, and he fouls off 4 full count pitches, and then just dumps the ball into right field. State takes the lead, and then Stallman flies out to left. But there was joy in that Mississippi State dugout. It's like, oh my gosh, we have come all the way back. We kind of lose our focus a little bit here in the 7th. What do? We get the ground out to third. They basically give us an out. They have a catcher try to bunt for a single. I mean, just go up there and just say I'm out and go sit down. It's just a waste of everybody's time. And then Willis singles up the middle and still second. Then we walk the leadoff hitter, bring in McPherson. We get a ground ball here. It ends up being a fielder's choice here, but out at second, couldn't turn 2. You turn 2 there, it's a different dynamic. It truly is. But we didn't get the call. Didn't work out for us. And then Carmichael, who may be their best hitter all the way around, singles to right. The run scores. And then we walk Willits to load the bases again, but we're able to get out of it. Fly out to center. So it's an 11-11 game, and now it's going to be a 6-out fight to the finish. And what do? Bryce Chance, the leader, steps up and gives you a leadoff single. Right? You got to make it happen here. You do. And then Nolan Stevens grounds into a double play. And then it's like the momentum just kind of shifted here. If you're able to get this ball down, or even just strike out here, right? But you get in a double play. It's the worst case scenario. And then Hines collects his third hit of the day, doubling into right center. I mean, you never know what the pitching sequence would be with runners on. But that's the unfortunate part of it. Hines has had so many opportunities this year with runners on and not come through. And here he is with an opportunity to hit third in an inning with a runner on base. You got to find a way to get that guy around. And that's the thing. I don't know if Nolan Stevens can bunt at all. But the double play, sometimes the guy just gets under a barrel. But anyway, we've got the go-ahead run here, and then Powell strikes out swinging. Bottom of 8, and this is where the game gets away from us. Leadoff single, strikeout, so we're a pitch away from getting out of this thing. And then Branch goes to third on a wild pitch. And then with that 1-0 count, we catch too much to plate. Nate just left that breaking ball up, and Willis crushed that thing to left. 13-1 game. We strike out, walk, and even coming back to the dugout, it felt like the game was over. Instead, it goes 1-2-3 there in the ninth. But there's just so many things you look back on. When you go back and just look at the box score, right? And you start thinking about, hey, we gave up 13 runs in this ball game, and that's true. But 5 of them were unearned. You play clean defense here, you win. And listen, the turf looked a little fast to me, and it takes a little while to get used to that. Nobody made any excuses. But the reality of it is, you make even one of those plays, because they all came back to haunt us. You make even one of those plays, it's a much different game, especially early on. I like the fight in our club. I didn't like the defense, as you guys know, and there were a couple other plays that weren't scored errors because they weren't technically errors. But, you get that ball to the right side over there, and Hines gets a glove on it. Ben Davis doesn't get over. Joe Powell throws the ball in the center field. There's a lot of things that went wrong in this ball game, but we still should have won the game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We'll get over to Game 3 as we kind of work through this. And I'll be honest with you, when we got there was not a lot of optimism on the Oklahoma side in the press box from the media corps or the people that work there, because they just said, hey, we're just so thin in the bullpen. I don't know what we'll do, but we need Malachi Witherspoon to work deeper into this ball game. He is not the same pitcher as his brother. They look the same, completely different dynamic. If you read my scouting report on Sunday, you saw that. Completely different arsenal, not nearly as much velo, different extension. It's just a different pitcher. They just happen to have the same DNA. But we go 1-2-3 in the first, and then right away we give them the benefit of the leadoff walk, and they make us pay for it. Same thing that we did to them in Game 1. You get the runner on, they still second. You get a fly out, advance the guy to third, and you get a ground ball to the right side, run scores. So you get the one run without the benefit of a hit. And right away, you're down 1-0. And I don't know if Carson Liggins shouldn't throw a simulated game before he comes out, because it always takes him an inning and a half to kind of warm up. But and it's so funny, too. Like, I don't know, the fastball away was not even competitive early on. He got it going, to be fair to him. But it took him about an inning to kind of settle in. We come up here and get two-out hits here and get runners on the corners, and then Joe Powell strikes out swinging. Stevens keeps it alive. Sanders in singles to right field, and Stevens goes around to third. He and that bad back, I feel bad for him. You can tell how uncomfortable he is. Playing hard for you, even though he's not 100%. And then Joe strikes out swinging. That's the thing, is like, people are like, well, let's give somebody else a chance. Do you really want Spalletta, a young guy, to have that kind of pressure on the road in a rubber game in the SEC? Sometimes we say things because it feels like they make sense, but when you talk them through, we end up using him late. But, Joe's the better option right there while Ross is unavailable. All right, bottom of second, they score again. And again, we get the first 2 outs. We get strikeout looking, strikeout swinging, and then guess what happens? It's a walk, a 2-out walk. They're the devil. He's still second. It's a double to left. The run scores. It's crazy. And then we throw him out stealing. Trying to take third. Joe Powell with a nice play there and a nice tag at third by Reese. And we had trouble tagging this weekend, too. A couple times we didn't make a tag. when we had a guy out trying to control the running game. There were a couple times we did. We didn't get the tag down. They're not going to give you the neighborhood tag. You got to actually make the tag. But now it's a 2-0 ball game, and it just kind of felt like, you know what? We're not playing to the best of our ability. We got to find a way to make some things happen. Top of third, we kind of get going, and what gets us going, Dylan Cupp gets hit again. I don't know what it is about Cupp, but he has kind of been a magnet for beanballs this year. He gets on base right there in the center of his back. Fielder's choice, and it's crazy, and I don't know that we really addressed this yesterday, but I noticed it during warm-ups. Like everybody saw Joe throw to second and how it sailed off. The Oklahoma catcher had the same problem. Like the throw down after warm-ups, he throws the ball to second. That thing missed by 15 feet to the right. It's because there's a crosswind coming off the grandstand yesterday with the wind blowing in. And so basically everything thrown to the bag at second shifted over. Feet, not inches, feet. And that was a big part of this. Stallman grounds back to the pitcher. And Witherspoon turns to throw from the mound to second. Throws the ball on line. The wind pushes it and pulls the defender off the bag. We challenge the call. And yeah, sure enough, just barely, he was off. But that's the wind kind of working against them. It worked against us at times. It worked against them too. It was just a wild day at the ballpark. 25 miles an hour blowing in from left. It was just difficult. It was. And so we get runners at first and second. We do the baseball play. I know some people don't like this, but we run the baseball play, and Chance gets down a sac bunt here, moving both runners along. And then we get the big hit. Reese doubles to right field. Both runs score. It's a tie game. Sullivan then flies out to center. 2 down. And then Hunter Hines, who has had some real issues the last couple of years in clutch situations, what does he do? He comes up here on a 1-2 count, just kind of laces it back up the middle, doesn't try to do too much, and there's a lot of message board geniuses out there that say, oh, he just Deadpools everything. That's just not true. It's not true. You may think it is. You just hadn't watched enough baseball. He works back up the middle here, and what do you know? It gives Mississippi State the lead. And then Stevens singles to center, and Hines comes around to third, and Sanders walks. Base is loaded now, and a great at-bat from Sanders. Gets up 2-0, it's 2-2, works it full, fouls a couple of pitches off, and then the guy misses to the right with a slider. And then Joe Powell comes up. Bases loaded situation, strikes out swinging. And if you felt like I did, I said this is going to come back to bite us. And lo and behold, it did. Bottom of third, we go 1-2-3. We go 1-2-3 in the fourth. And the game, again, just kind of settles here, but you knew one run wasn't going to be enough to get it. And State, again, a chance here in the fifth. Reese strikes out swinging on 3 pitches, but then Noah Sullivan back up the middle, and then Hunter Hines. Singles to right field. Now you got runners at first and second. That chases Malachi Witherspoon from the game. And then they walk Nolan Stevens. Bases loaded. A chance for us to break this game open. Gatlin Sanders then grounds into a 4-6-3 double play. I mean, it's just a killer. It is a killer. You get 3 guys on in the inning with less than 2 outs, and you get nothing. Routine fly ball to right makes it a 4-2 ball game. And again, if we come through there, it's a different conversation today. I'm not weighing that on the shoulders of Gatlin Sanders. I'm just simply saying that's an opportunity Mississippi State had. And I'm going to share this with you too. That's got nothing to do with coaching. All right, bottom of 5. First pitch of the inning. Carson Ligon gives up a home run to Christensen. The ball gets up in the wind, just kind of pushed it out there. No wind. That's a routine fly ball to right. Maybe it makes the track, but he kept pushing it closer and closer to the line, and it gets out. Now it's a 3-3 game. And a guy that had a terrible weekend, Christensen. He did next to nothing this weekend. That's how baseball works. We get out of it. Top of 6. We get a 2-out hit by pitch. Can't do much with that. Bottom of 6. Gambled and singles to right field. And then the ball, we just misplay it out there. It's a one-hopper, and then we let it get over our head. So it's a hit and an error. And then Carmichael singles to right center. He's their best player, I think. And then chases a run home. It's 4-3. We bring in Pruitt. And then things kind of get hairy here. And I think it's fair to say Pruitt has not lived up to expectations at this point. I think it's fair to say we signed him hoping he would compete on the weekends, and it just hadn't come. It hadn't happened. I know he hadn't been 100%, but it hadn't happened. He gives up a single to right field, and he hits Taki with the pitch, and then there's a ground ball we can't turn to. Run scores, and we walk Christensen to load the bases again, and then it's a ground ball to first, and run scores. There's not much you can do there. And, Willison grounds out to second. But, again, you give up 3 in the inning. You go in there with a 3-2 lead and give up 3, and you're really chasing the game the rest of the game. We go 1, 2, 3 there in the top of 6, 7. Bottom of 7, we kind of hold it where it is. We give up a 2-out single, but we're able to kind of navigate around that. Top 8. Ground out to the pitcher, and then Sanders singles to left, so you get a man on here, but nothing doing there. Bottom of 8, and what do you know? And this is one of those add insult to injury things. Because of the injury to the catcher that stole second, he dislocated his shoulder. They had to move Carmichael behind the plate, and then ultimately it comes around. They end up having to lose a DH in this deal, and pitcher ends up having to bat here in the inning. Taki strikes out swinging, and Branch doubles down left field line. Christensen is walked, and then Crooks, the closer, comes in, and then it's a suicide squeeze, and they make it work. And the run is home 7-3. And State goes 1, 2, 3 there in the ninth. It's just, they did the little things a lot better than we did, and they played a lot cleaner than we did. And that's the thing. If you win either one of these games, it's a different conversation today. And again, we talk about it all the time on the show. Every pitch matters. Every play matters. You can never assume anything. Every runner matters. Every 2-out base hit matters. Every bases loaded situation matters, because over the totality of a game and a weekend, those things matter. And they didn't hardly have any pitching left yesterday. Had one guy that threw in all 3 games this weekend. And eventually that comes back to get you, just because of the fact that there's only so much the human body can take. But, it's very disappointing. These are not bad losses, but in my mind, every loss is bad. They're not bad in the terms of we went on the road and played the number 10 team in the country, and we should have won all 3 games. I think you could make an argument that maybe we shouldn't have won on Sunday. But, we play Bulldog baseball on Saturday. We win that game going away, and that's the problem. We have to play better. You have to play better. And one of the things, too, and I'm not going to sit here and defend coaching, but, guys, we don't have to coach defending routine ground balls. Tony Vitello, Joe Torre, Tommy Lasorda, nobody should have to coach routine ground balls. No matter who your coach is, you could be the coach. We get a routine ground ball to second, we got to make a play. Routine ground ball to short, got to make a play. Routine ground ball to third, you got to do it. You get a throw to first, in the air, within your catch radius, you got to make the catch. You get a ball down in the dirt, you got to dig it out. I know it's a more difficult play, but the reality of it is that's routine in college baseball. We've got to make the routine play. When you don't make the routine play, you dig yourself a hole. And even though we had the offense to come out of it, it shouldn't have been that way. Because we were going to rock Crosswind anyway, but we'd be expanding the lead instead of chasing the game. But, that's your weekend. Bulldogs fall to 1-5 in the SEC. 1-5. Not great, not great, not great. All right, time for today's Top 10 list is always brought to you by Kalido Guitars. We're glad to have them as a sponsor. I've got a guitar stand on the way. I'm excited about that. I encourage you to visit Kalido Guitars. That's CALIDO guitars.com, and look for all your own guitar needs. A lot of cool items on there. They even have like the classroom rack. If you got a lot of guitars, maybe you're playing a gig and you need a bunch of guitars there, they got a lot of cool stuff on there. Straps, parts, everything. It's a real guitar store, a great guitar store based in Lake Jackson, Texas, owned and operated by Mississippi State folks. They sell electric, acoustic, Classical guitars, ukuleles, basically anything with a string instrument, they can help you with that. Known for high-quality instruments, exemplary customer service, and expert advice. Kalita Guitars is dedicated to giving you customer service before, during, and after the sale. And here's the cool thing about it, too. Name brand stuff, you're going to buy at a discount because you listen to this show. So visit Kalita Guitars or call 979-297-4733. And if you mention the promo code BSR, you know it well, Beautiful Steve Robertson, that gets you a 10% discount, free shipping, and no sales tax unless you live in the state of Texas. In addition to that, they will make a 5% donation based on your purchase to the Bulldog Initiative / Bulldog Excellence Fund. So you're getting a high-quality instrument, helping a Mississippi State business, and helping Mississippi State athletics. You need to go that direction. If you have a guitar player in your life, and here's the thing too, maybe you don't need a new axe right now, but you always need strings. You always need a new strap. There's always something, right? So rather than go like to Amazon or something like that, buy things at a discount through Kalita and help Mississippi State in the process. Kalita Guitars, the proud sponsor of the Top 10 list. All right, this is going to make you feel old. It is. Today we're going to do top rock albums that are turning 25 this year. I didn't do metal. We're just going to go straight ahead rock. There's a few, you know, all these bands. And what's interesting about our list today is 8 of the 10 were debut albums. How about that? And we talk about 84, 85, 87, how we had so many great debuts. Had some great debuts in 91. And there's some other albums that are kind of attributed to being debuts that really weren't in 91. But that's a topic for another day. But the year 2000 was a really good year in music. And, you know, for a while there, we didn't have a lot of headliners. I know some of you guys got into like Everclear and people like that. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I am. I'm sorry. But I went back and looked. I said, you know, let's look at this list. And there's kind of some classic albums turning 25 this year. So let's get started. One of my favorite groups that maybe you're not into as much, and you should be, their debut album, The Gift, from Taproot. Love those guys. We've had a top 10 list of Taproot here before. We're going to go with the track I. They had 2 charting singles off this album, Again and Again, but I is your number 10 track. Number 9, Good Charlotte. The self-titled debut album from them, and we're going to go with Little Things. And this is one of those anthemic songs about the outsiders, right? We were the guys that never got picked for baseball, and when we did play, they made fun of us. We never got a date in high school. And there's some synergy in that. There's a lot of people that feel disenchanted from, the cool kids. But here's the thing to tell you about that is that we're the cool kids. We're the cool kids, right? The longer you live, the more you realize that. Sometimes it's important not to fit in. It's true. Number 8, and the reason this album is so maybe at the front end of our list, it's not higher on the list, is because it's an album of covers. But I could not talk about this list of albums without mentioning this one. Our policy on the top 10 list. But it's the final studio album from Rage Against the Machine. It's a covers album called Renegades of Funk. We're going to go with the title track, Renegades of Funk. They basically took a lot of rap songs and then made them rock songs. And, of course, a great cover of the Ghost of Tom Joad from Bruce Springsteen. Amazing track. But nevertheless, anytime we can throw some Rage on the show, we want to, even though that they hadn't done a whole lot in a long time. And I don't know that I always agree with their politics, but it's interesting. A band that was so incredibly influential in the 90s called it quits in 2000. Number 7, a band that I think if you were an early Sirius XM Octane listener, or just Sirius back then, a band you loved, a band that got a lot of airplay, and now Chad, the lead singer of this band, married to Shannon Guns of Sirius XM Octane fame, and it's Mudvayne. The debut album, LD50, we're going to go with the lead single off that album, Dig. It's a very busy track, too. All right, number 6, and many of you probably, 15 years ago, maybe you would have had this number 1 or number 2. I just think, that as we've learned some things, this band, to me, has kind of fallen out of favor in some respects. It's a great album, though. It really was. Limp Bizkit. And it was an interesting time in music when they hit the scene. As you know, we all did it for the nookie. We did. So you can take that cookie and you know what to do with it. But off the hot dog flavored chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water, we're going to go with the lead track, Rolling. And we're going to go with the original version, the rock version of that, even though the rap version, the urban assault vehicle version, is electric. All right, number 5, and the rest of these 5 are debuts. And this is an interesting one because we already knew Maynard from Tool. And he put together a side project called A Perfect Circle. Dana and I saw them live at Rocklahoma. Thanks, Mark. It's Murder Noms, and we're going to go with Dana's favorite track from Perfect Circle and from this album. It's Judith. And it's an interesting song, too, because there's an incredible message in this song. It's not like you killed someone. There's a lot of things that happen to women, and they make mistakes, and sometimes people want to shame them for life for that. And I think this song is really about that. Being a friend to somebody, and it's like, hey, it's not like you killed somebody. You put things behind you. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but move on. All right, number 4. One of the best bands to ever come out of the state of Mississippi. That's right, the alums from Moss Point High School from Escatawpa, Mississippi. It's 3 Doors Down. We had a great time with them at the Brandon Amphitheater some time ago. Great night, man. What a great show. Loved it, every second of it. And I remember back when MTV still played music, how interesting it was. Do you remember the pop video that came up and it would have like little factoids about the videos? It's true. It was great stuff. But they had a great one for Kryptonite. But we're going to go with my favorite track off the Better Life album called Loser. Love the breakdown on this thing, too. So number 4, 3 Doors Down, Loser. Number 3, and I think the rest of the way, I think the top 6 albums are classic. But I think these 3 are timeless classics. I think these are albums that even today that people go back and listen to because these bands are still so influential. But number 3 is the debut from Papa Roach, the album Infest. And the song that got us all up on our feet, and we didn't realize that it was a suicide note until Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse covered it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I thought this was a song of rebellion, and it wasn't. But it's Last Resort. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. It's crazy, man. What a great track. Number 2, our buddy David Draymond. Love David Draymond. I do. And love the fact that David has been so vulnerable with his fans. He used to be married to a WCW Nitro girl. That didn't work out. He confessed on stage that he nearly killed himself due to the trauma of the divorce. He's now remarried, doing well. He's done some incredible things in music, still pumping out new stuff. And the thing about Disturbed, they have just been such a very solid and consistent band. And it all goes back to 2000 with this great album, Down with the Sickness. And I remember the very first time that I heard this great track, Stupefy, on MTV. I was like, you know what? These guys are legit. That singer is legit. Why doesn't he have any tattoos? I don't quite get that. Well, found out Dave Draymond, in the infancy of my Twitter account, Dave Draymond used to interact with me. Then he got off Twitter and he came back because there was so much anti-Semitism on Twitter. But I asked Dave one day through a direct message and he responded. I was like, Dave, why don't you have any tattoos? Just kind of interesting. He said, I'm a devout Jew. And I want to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. As a matter of fact, I go back to Israel 2 to 3 times a year to see my family over there. And so I don't have any tattoos because my faith is very important to me. And when have you ever heard a rock singer not only just espouse those beliefs, but to live them, right? Incredible. But number one, and an iconic album, the one that started it all, the one that changed so much in music, I would venture to say that this debut album is probably the best debut album as far as like influence on future music since Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. That's how important I think this album is. And it changed everything in music. It's Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. And we're going to go back to In the End. And it's so incredible when they sing the song, the crowd just kind of takes over. Because we've all experienced that, right? In the end, it doesn't even matter. You know, there's so much of that. We put people on pedestals. And sometimes we live our lives assigning value to ourselves based on who loves us rather than the love that we give. And I've suffered with that too. You know, so many times when I was younger, I'd be like, you know, if she's really hot and if she dates me, then I must be okay, right? And so it was really unfair to them, right? Because they were a trophy for me. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. It's like, even though they could be a good person, but it's like, hey, if people see me with her, they'll think I'm a cool guy, right? And I maybe wasn't ready to admit that back then, but that's what long-term recovery has allowed me to kind of see those things through the proper lens. It's true. And but the reality of it is we've all had our heart broken, and sometimes it's because we have been with people that we shouldn't have been with in the first place, and we fall in love with the ideals. You know, this is what the value they bring to me in my life, rather than having a real relationship. And there are some people that live their whole lives and never have a real meaningful relationship where somebody loves them for them rather than what they can provide. It's very difficult. It is. It can be. Life's tough, man. It really is. But I share that with you because I think it's important for us to be honest with one another. And I think the thing about Linkin Park that has made them such a lasting band is because the message and the pain and the commonality that Chester Bennington shared with all of us, we felt it. And so you know what? I felt that way too. This guy is singing my song. I understand how he feels because he is singing the things that I feel in my heart. And let me encourage you as always, if you are considering hurting yourself or someone else, dial 988. And if calling is not a possibility, you can text 988. It is a free call. It is a free text if you're still paying for texting. I can't imagine you are, but if you are, these calls and texts are free. There is help available. The moment passes if we let it. It truly does. And so I share that with you because anytime we talk about Chris or Chester or many others, you know, there are some things in life that some people cannot process on their own. The pain and the price to pay is just too steep. And so you need some help. And it's okay to get help. And again, it's one of the things that I don't like. People say, you know, it's okay to not be okay. No, it's not. It's not. It's not okay to not be okay. Because until you deal with that, you will remain not okay. Now, you're going to have some things that happen in life that kind of knock you off your wheels a little bit, and you got to resettle. And I get that aspect of it. You know, you have some trauma, and you've got to mourn the loss of something. I get that. You're not going to have a normal for a while. But to live your life that way, to live it and to continually have these reminders of the trauma that you experienced is not healthy. And so I encourage you to get help. And I see it played out on Facebook every single day. And there are some people out there that are pain shopping, right? So they continue to go back and do it. These are the things that give me validation, right? And you get bogged down in the mire and you're just stuck there. You're just stuck there doing all of that. It's true. And that there are some people, social media has opened the door on all of that, where people can just go out there and say, hey, everybody feels sorry for me. Look what happened to me. You know, and it's when it happens, and then in the subsequent days, weeks, and months, you know, that's understandable. But when it's been years and years and years, sometimes it's a choice. That's important to understand. There are some things that will linger with us the rest of our lives. And I've lost a lot of people very close to me. But I know this. I know when their life ended, mine didn't. And they would not have wanted that. While my life has been negatively impacted by their absence, it is my responsibility to move forward and share their legacy as best I can. But your loved one would not want you to live the rest of your days in mourning. I can assure you of that. That's the last thing that they would want, is to know that the rest of your life you could not find a measure of happiness. So if you need to go talk to somebody, go talk to somebody. And that's really the best example that I can offer of, quote, not being okay. That it's not okay to not be okay. Because if that becomes a life sentence for you, then that's a problem. And you can go sit and talk to a trained professional and work through some of that. There are some things you never get over. You just kind of get on with it. That's important to understand. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. We always encourage you to shop local. And if you're not local, we encourage you to support a Mississippi State business, a Starkville business, whenever you get the opportunity. Rather than go to Amazon or eBay or somewhere like that, trust the people at Campus Bookmart. They know what maroon looks like. You don't want your kids out there wandering around in a crimson Mississippi State shirt. It just wouldn't look right. I mean, it's just child abuse, right? I mean, don't do that to your kids. Buy the real deal from the real people at Campus Bookmart. Next time you're in town, go by and see their smiling faces. If you can't make it to town, visit them on the World Wide Web. A reminder, graduation's coming up soon. Think about that diploma frame. It's a great gift idea. It's a timeless gift idea, a very thoughtful gift. If you want to be the favorite grandparent and or uncle, aunt, I don't know your family tree. I don't know how it's all structured. But I know that you love somebody that will be graduating from Mississippi State. I think it'd be a great idea for you to get them a diploma frame. Great selection there at Campus Bookmart. The best selection of Mississippi State apparel and everything you need for your fan cave you can find at campusbookmart.net. And when you go to campusbookmart.net, use promo code BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. Okay. Mississippi State men's basketball is in the books. The year's not a disappointment to me. It's not. The ending of the year is disappointing. It is. I really hoped that we would at least win a game. All season long I've said I think this team is capable of getting to the Sweet 16. We didn't. And our rivals did, which makes it even tougher, right? And let's just call it for what it is, right? It's like, hey, we don't want those things to happen for them. But we made the tournament. And so here's my thing about that is I don't want us to just be satisfied with just making the tournament. 3 years ago, we were. Last year, maybe we were. In year 3, we were thinking, hey, we'd probably get a game, maybe 2, depending on matchups. Didn't work out for us. But, guys, we did not end the season well. And that's why we dropped so far from like a 5 seed or a 6 seed all the way down to the 8-9 game. Yes, we were a tournament-worthy team. No, we didn't finish well. And again, I go back all the way to February 22nd. Right? We go to Norman, Oklahoma, in a game we had to have, and we lose by 6. And then we get shelled by Alabama. Expected that. We finally get the win over LSU. And then we lose at home a game we should have won in overtime to Texas. And then we go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we lose. So we lose 4 out of 5 to close the regular season. We beat LSU there and then lose to Missouri, who was just better than us, and they got eliminated early too. And then you lose tournament games. So, again, you start putting all this together. 4 out of 5 to close the year. You split in the tournament, right? So that gives you 5 of 7. You've lost 5 of 7. And then you lose the NCAA tournament game. And we'd have lost to Duke too. Okay, I mean, you're barring some miracle. But, to suggest that, it's a failure, I think is a little bit emotional and a bit of an overreaction. That's just my feeling about it. Yeah, I'm disappointed we didn't win the game. I am. I'm disappointed we didn't win the game, but it felt like once they stretched it out to 11, we just were never going to be able to get caught up. I was driving to Norman when this game was being played. And our Jacob Bain was out there and brought unprecedented coverage. Nobody brought more coverage of Mississippi State's experience in Raleigh, North Carolina than Jacob Bain and our friends at genespage.com did. Nobody. And people can say what they want to. The numbers are the numbers, right? Interviews with so many players. So I'm proud of that effort. But, man, I was hoping that his stay would be extended for at least a couple more days. We're happy to have him back in Starkville, but at the same time, too, we wanted to continue to play. We just wanted our chance against Duke. You know what I'm saying? We just wanted our chance. But, 7 SEC teams make the Sweet 16. We get a record number of teams into the tournament and a record number of teams into the Sweet 16. And so, chances are, you're going to have a good chance to get many of these teams to the Final Four. Could be a very, very southern Final Four. I'm sure you guys have kept up here. Maybe you hadn't. I don't know. If you're like me sometimes, like once we're eliminated, I don't really care. That's just kind of how I feel. And maybe I'm a hater, and I'll own that. But, once the season is over for Mississippi State, I just kind of move on. But looking ahead here to what's left, for those of you that have already checked out of the tournament, Auburn survives yesterday. Creighton was giving them a game for a while. They ended up putting it away. And Auburn, number 1 seeded Auburn, will play Michigan in their Sweet 16 game. And then Ole Miss will play Michigan State. That's a 6 versus 2 game in the bottom half of that bracket. So the winners will advance to play. So you could have an all-SEC Elite 8 in that side of the deal. But Tom Izzo against Chris Beard, that could be fun to watch. And I know all of you will be pulling for the Spartans. In the bottom half on that side, Florida will play Maryland. That could be a very entertaining game. Florida nearly let the thing get away against UConn. And Florida wins it by 2, but UConn made a game of that thing. It was awful. We kind of kept that on during baseball, too. And then Arkansas, kind of a surprise team, makes it to the Sweet 16 and will play Texas Tech. I don't know if it's a good matchup for Tech, to be honest with you. And think about what Arkansas has done. They take down number 7 seed Kansas and then take down number 2 seed St. John's. Tight competitive games, but Arkansas making the place to win down the stretch. I don't know if I could bet against them right now. So, interesting. Again, Florida and Arkansas could be head-to-head there in the Elite 8. On the other side of things, and we'll start in the East, Duke and Arizona. That should be fun, but you got to like Duke. And then BYU will play Alabama. BYU kind of followed the chalk here, but they get to the second round, and then they upset Wisconsin 91-89. And I don't think that BYU is a good matchup for Alabama. I mean, other way around. I think Alabama, with their athleticism and length and guard play, I think Alabama is in good shape. So I expect to see Alabama and Duke playing in the Elite 8. And then bottom half of that side of the bracket, Houston versus Purdue, and then Kentucky and Tennessee head-to-head. So when you start counting this thing through, and we start thinking about 8, right, the Elite 8, you could have a scenario here where you have 2 on one side of the bracket, 2 of the 4, and then on the other side of the bracket, you could have 4. It's interesting to me, right? And so the SEC could dominate the Elite 8. You could have more teams in there because you could get Auburn in. If Ole Miss could beat Michigan State, of course, that's 2. Florida wins is 3. Arkansas wins is 4. So on the left side of the bracket, all 4 members of the Elite 8 could be from the SEC. You're going to get 1 in with Kentucky and Tennessee, so that would give you 5. And then if somehow Alabama could beat Duke, that gives you 6. Very interesting. And again, we'll kind of see how things play out. Now, looking ahead here at the women, as you guys know, the ladies, by the time you listen to this game will likely have already been played. But USC women's basketball has been a powerhouse for a long time. They've been up and down at times, but this game's going to tip off here in about an hour for us here at Mississippi State time. But going to be awfully interesting to kind of see how Mississippi State handles the athleticism of USC. I am not optimistic. Okay, I'm not expecting Mississippi State to win this game, but I am looking forward to watching this game. If we can defend the perimeter, I think maybe Medina Okot can do some interesting things here. I think she can match up. But the Lady Trojans, 29-3 overall, 15-1 at home. They went 16-1 in their conference. And it's interesting. The one game at home, one away, and one on a neutral floor. But, again, they've played exceptionally well. I mean, and you can go by and look. Some of these games, too, have been largely competitive for three quarters, and they just have a different gear in the fourth. They go to College Park, Maryland. They beat number 8 Maryland back in January. You know, it's interesting to look at these. The quality of competition that they have played this year. This is not a schedule that is built with a bunch of rent-a-wins. They have played a ton of teams that have a lot of funding, shall we say. So it's not like they're just kind of beating up on the Mississippi School of Math and Science. That's moving to Starkville, by the way. I know some people are upset about that, so we won't broach that topic. But they go to UCLA and beat them in the regular season finale by 13, and UCLA was ranked number 2 at the time. And then just kind of run their way through this thing in Indianapolis in the Big Ten tournament, and they have a rematch with UCLA, and the Bruins get the better of them. And so that's your neutral court loss. And then they take care of UNC Greensboro 71-25 in round 1 action. We'll take a quick look at the stats, and then we'll get to the final segment of the show. But averaging about 81 points a game. So they will get out and go a good bit, shooting 44% from the floor, 32% from beyond the arc. Rebounding, pulling them down at +8, a little over 8 a game. Assists, 17.5. So they're definitely playing team basketball. You'd expect that for a team with a 1 next to their name this time of year. 23 points a game off turnovers. So some pressure for sure. And again, their length and athleticism is interesting. I mean, you look at this roster and you can see these are some of the better players, if not in the country, certainly out in the West. So good job of kind of putting that roster composition together. Tons of blocks, too. 222 on the year, averaging about 7 a game. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how we attack them. Juju Watkins, 24.6 points a game, just kind of filling it up, shooting 42%, 63 made three-pointers, about 32%. Nobody has shot more threes than her. Kennedy Smith right there at 111. But, yeah, they are going to shoot from the perimeter. They have 4 players with over 100 three-point attempts on the year. So, perimeter game, we're going to have to get out there and defend, and we'll see how things go. But it's just so interesting to kind of think about, kind of a contrast in styles. And, Juju Watkins, too, more than just a one-trick pony, one of the better players in the country. Also pulling down 182 boards on the defensive end. Yeah, so 223 total boards. And then Kiki Arifin, I may have said it wrong, Arifin, 270 boards for her. So a team that shoots a lot of threes and a team that pulls down a lot of rebounds. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not optimistic, but proud of the effort Sam Purcell and the staff have put in this year. And again, they've won a game for us. And again, there's so many people that they think that everything is just riding around here. Hey, things can be better, but they've also been a lot worse. Now, that understood, I read a lot of that. I tell you what, let me go and do the ad, and we'll get to the next part of this. Best place to stay in the Golden Triangle is the Stark Vegas Clubhouse when you're bringing a large group to town. I would encourage you to do so. It's so great to have everybody under one roof. The older I get, the more that matters to me. I have 4 children and now 2 and soon to be 3 grandchildren that I don't get to see enough. And I travel a lot, and sometimes I don't have time to spend as much time with them. I need to make time to do so. And we were able to make some time and bring everybody together for New Year's, and we stayed at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. We had a ball, an absolute ball. It was a great time, and so appreciate everything out there. I mean, the full-service kitchen, The back porch area, we had the wet bar. We didn't partake. You may. I won't judge you. We also had that great fire pit area. We used that too. Used my Cub Scout skills to kind of get a good fire going for everybody, even though it was a little bit damp out there. But nevertheless, 6 bedrooms, 2, soon to be 3 baths. And how fun is it to think, you know what, it's not just going to the ball game that matters. It's the time before and after the game that we can just all be together. We don't get together enough. We say it all the time. So you be the master planner within your friend or family group. Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and when you do, their Facebook page comes up. You can peruse through all the pictures of all the amenities available to you and your guests. Just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. You can do your tailgating there. Yeah, how cool would that be? Available midweek, so if you've got a work group or maybe you're coming up here to view schools or you got some business in Starkville, you can book it out and bring everybody together. Maybe you're coming to Discovery MSU. I don't know. But I know that they can accommodate you, right? Now, when you Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, some booking options are going to pop up too. And you can have Airbnb or VRBO. You can go with that route if you want to. But if you want to save some money, book through the Evolve website and use promo code BSR10. BSR10. BSR, the number 10, gets you 10% off your stay just by listening to our show. You'll be glad you did. Visit the Stark Vegas Clubhouse website today. I think it's our Facebook page, and learn more about it. If you have questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm happy to direct you. Okay. We talk about expectations, right? And so again, it's interesting, and I hate to sound judgy, but it's going to sound judgy. And I have people all the time that say, hey, I don't accept mediocrity, but they do. They do. It just sounds good. It sounds good to say it. It feels good to post it. You're celebrating mediocrity. Guys, I'll tell you this. After what we endured as a men's basketball program for the better part of a decade, I am happy to be mediocre or to be above mediocre right now. I'm happy that we have been to the tournament. Yes, I am disappointed that we didn't at least win a game. Because again, it's been now 17 seasons since we celebrated an NCAA tournament win. I get that. But I also understand, too, Chris Jans has some challenges this year. He did. And, again, we got kind of rebuild the roster. Got to keep some guys here. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Keyshawn Murphy. You certainly hope he's back. Yeah, certainly. Josh Hubbard, you certainly hope he's back. And that's a couple of guys, a nucleus you can kind of build around. You got some young guys, too, that may elect to hit the portal. But again, I'm going to put my trust in Chris Jans. And there's some times down the stretch there that I got really frustrated, as you guys did as well, because you want Mississippi State to win. You want Mississippi State to accomplish great things. And there's so many people that I see that maybe have a different level of loyalty openly. And what I mean by that is maybe you don't get out there and articulate your frustration the way somebody else does. But for some people, that's just what they do. It's like, man, this sucks. And so I go out there and I tweet that. I don't, but they do. And then somebody else is like, oh, dude, you're right. Well, now they found a friend. And it's like we're just kind of commiserating together. And there's some people out there, this is one of the things that I've learned, is that some people think, hey, you should have the same level of fandom that I do. Well, chances are they do. They just express their disappointment in different ways. And you got to have, open that up. We're all Bulldogs. We're all Bulldogs. That's important to understand. We all want the same thing. We may disagree how to get there, but we want the same thing. And I feel like I preach this over and over and over. And so a little tolerance, I would encourage that. Also, too, on the other side of things, maybe don't hit send every time that your feelings get hurt. Every time you get angry. I don't know that it helps us. It helps you, but I don't know that it helps us. And so I think both sides can do a little bit better job in that respect. But a lot of people want to know, how I feel about baseball. Here's the first thing that I want to say. And I don't care whose feelings this hurts. And I think most of you feel the same way that I do. I want a dominant baseball program. I don't want just a winning baseball program. I don't want just a program that hosts every now and again. I don't want a program that just gets to Omaha every now and again. I want people to lose their minds when they see the SEC schedule has come out and they have to play us. That's what I want. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, that's how it used to be. No, it didn't. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. There have been we put a couple good years together, and people didn't really want to play us. But I'll be honest with you, I want to be what Tennessee is right now. And maybe not as bravado as them, maybe not as brazen as them, but I want that level of respect and fear. And there are some teams that have been scared to play us over the years. Now, the league has gotten a lot better in the last 25 years because more people care about baseball. More people are funding baseball. And so it's not the same environment that it was in the 80s. And I think some people have a difficult time accepting that. And now, let's be fair about that too. As I've shared on this show here recently, the glory days of Mississippi State baseball, and all due respect to everybody that came before this time period, is 2011 to 2021. That is the golden age of Mississippi State baseball. And if that hurts your feelings, then you need to listen up. There were 10 NCAA tournaments played during that stretch. We were in 9 of them. 9. The most successful stretch in school history. It's true. Played for a national championship in 13, was a top 8 national seed for the first time in 2016. And, of course, in 2019 and 2021, we were top 8 national seed again. We hosted. But we have not hosted as regularly as some people think. That is revisionist history. It's become this talking point that it really, to be honest with you, when you say it to knowledgeable Mississippi State fans, you come off sounding foolish. Oh, we used to host all the time. No, we didn't. We did not. There's this revisionist history about that. Of course, the older we get, the better we were, right? So here, I want to be a dominant program. I want to be more dominant than we have ever been. I want fans deciding, you know what? I've already been to Duty Noble and seen that stadium. I'm not going down there to watch us get our butts beat. I want people to feel that way. Now, there are a lot of things that's got to happen in order for that to happen. It's true. We live in a different era now with NIL and rev share and all that factors in. And there's some people that don't want to hear this, but I think we should allocate more of our rev share, and maybe it's just a percentage point or two, to baseball. There is an opportunity for people out there that want to be dominant in baseball, are really, 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 really good, are great at baseball, to kind of change the factors a little bit. Kind of play with the numbers just a little bit to maybe give you a little more of an advantage. I think we need to do that. Baseball is our brand, and some people don't like to hear that. It's like, wow, Steve, I wasn't any good at baseball, and my ex-girlfriend ran away with a baseball player, so I don't really want to be around baseball. There's that aspect of it. And everybody's got their own favorite sports. But we've proven we can win a national championship in baseball. And I venture to say, too, that 2021 team wasn't especially talented. We had some really good players, don't get me wrong. Landon Sims, future first-rounder. Will Bednar, first-rounder. TA, obviously the National College Baseball Player of the Year. And Rowdy Jordan, a very capable Batman, or Robin to TA's Batman. But, guys, we basically won a national championship with 1.5 starters on the weekend. Some weekends C-Mac was good, some weekends he wasn't. People forget, we started the year with Sarantola on Sunday, and then he had a meltdown at LSU and never pitched a meaningful inning ever again. Jackson Fristow had to throw a game in Arlington as a true freshman. And then we tried him for a while. Then we tried Houston Harding for a while. We moved some things around. We pushed all the right buttons, it seemed, and we still lost some games that we feel like we shouldn't. And so when I think about people like, we got to be this, we got to be that. Being the number 1 seed is not always a great thing. But I want to know what that feels like, right? I want to go test the theory, right? Don't you? But everybody's like, hey, I don't like where we are. Let me just tell you this. every season is judged in its entirety. And nobody in the decision-making process is looking at this as a game-to-game thing. It's not a he loves me not thing from one day to the next. It's not like, well, hey, we beat Oklahoma on Friday, everything is fine, but he better win on Saturday. Oh, he didn't win today? Well, he better win on Sunday. And then people start texting me, hey, are we going to make a coaching change right now? The first thing that I'll tell you is in a program like Mississippi State, you don't do that. You know, we've never fired a coach in our history for wins and losses. You know, Paul Gregory was kind of encouraged to retire, but it was pretty evident at that point that things were done. And the truth of the matter is, if we hadn't had to run off Tom DeArmond, you probably just have a change in the guard there, and Gregory ended up having to coach you a little bit longer than I think people intended for him to. But short of a scandal, we've never fired anybody midseason. And so people keep bringing this stuff up, and you're working yourselves up for no good reason at all. And here's the thing that I understand. Is you're tired of losing games that you think we should win. Now, that's part of competing. It is. But the divisiveness is not healthy for our program, and it accomplishes nothing. It truly does. Well, I'm going to make my voice heard. Well, okay, go out in your backyard and yell in your woods. See if that changes anything. Because that's the truth. That's the truth. That's not going to change anything. And we go get into Facebook groups, and again, we find a friend. I agree with you. What are they waiting on? Well, we're not going to make an emotional decision. And we're going to look at everything. And people forget, we had a good year last year. A win or two away from it being a great year. We finished 5th in the SEC last year. And I know that upset some people, because they think we're going to be able to go out there and hire Tony Vitello. Or we're going to be able to go hire Aaron Boone. Or we're going to go get Buck Showalter. And let me tell you, in the event that we do something, that's not going to happen. Oh, you don't know? Yes, I do. That's not going to happen. And so then what happens is that begins to kind of lay the groundwork. Let's say that we went and hired somebody else. And short of us going out and hiring Schlossnagle or Vitello, you're going to be like, it's disappointment. Why did Zach Selman go cheap? Why does Mississippi State not do this? And it's so interesting that there's so many people that want Mississippi State to write a check, and they won't write a check to Mississippi State. Not saying you don't love Mississippi State. I'm just saying that maybe your opinion shouldn't be considered. That may hurt your feelings, but that's the reality of it. But everything about this year, number one, we had a good year last year, okay? So nobody entered this year on the hot seat. That's important to understand. Nobody sat down and said, okay, yeah, last year was a step in the right direction, but those conversations didn't happen. And if somebody told you they did, delete that person's number from your phone and stop talking to them because they're a liar. It didn't happen. And so, am I concerned that we're 1-5? Yes. I thought we would be 3-3. I thought we'd get a game from Texas because Texas is really good. They just, took 2 out of 3 from LSU over the weekend, kind of validating that. But I thought we'd be able to go to Oklahoma and win the series. And it's so difficult to win a road series, but it's almost impossible to sweep a road series. Not to mention they were the number 10 team in the country. So I thought we'd be 3-3. So yeah, we're a couple of games behind. So right now, am I optimistic about hosting? No. Am I optimistic about making a tournament? Yes. Yes, I am. And some people would say, well, I don't think that's enough. Well, I'm sorry. You don't get to vote. But we need to just rally around each other and rally around Mississippi State baseball. My personal opinion is we need Chris to make it. And I believe he's going to make it. I think once we get through this weekend, not to mention we've won 3 of the last 4 series against LSU, what some would consider lesser teams, which is interesting to me for so many people that say Lamonis can't coach, but somehow he's been able to beat LSU 3 of the last 4 series, including their national championship team of 2023. Went down there and beat them in Baton Rouge and outmanaged them, right? But the reality of it is that I love Mississippi State baseball. I always want what's best for Mississippi State baseball, and I don't think a snap reaction to maybe a slow start in a couple ways is reasons for people to lose their minds. It's not like it was in 2022 or even 2023. When we were just getting embarrassed almost every time out, and you were just hoping that maybe we can just get a game or keep a game close. You guys, we're getting ready to go to Baton Rouge this weekend. And after seeing what Texas did to their bullpen, I think you're going to see 3 very competitive games. And that's the thing that I begin to ask myself is what happens to our fan base if we go take 2 out of 3 from LSU again? What happens then? Oh, he's bought himself another weekend. No. It's not a week-to-week thing. And so it's basically like peeing up your leg. You're the only person that feels it. And then you get miserable and you go share it on social media to make other people feel miserable. But these expectations that you have about how you think should go, not helpful. Not helpful at all. Not helpful to Mississippi State, not helpful to people around you, certainly not helpful to Mississippi State baseball, our players, our coaches. And so, as I've told you guys before, I'm going to support every coach as long as they are the coach at Mississippi State. And it's interesting. I've had, it's gotten back to me. Somebody said, Steve's just saying these things because he's afraid of losing access. No, I've had access back to the Polk era. I'm the guy that got home at 3:15 this morning. You know how many Mississippi State media people made a trip to Norman? 1. Now, granted, some guys were in Raleigh. But even when they're not, they don't make those long baseball trips. They don't. I'm the guy that goes to all the midweeks, home or away. You don't think that our new coaching staff would say, hey, that's probably our guy? You don't think the first day that they check into the offices, somebody's going to say, hey, Steve's the guy that covers all the games. He's written some books on Mississippi State baseball. So, no, you don't need to worry about my access. Nothing is more important to me when it comes to Mississippi State than the success of our athletic programs. And you know what? If I got less interviews and a little less access and we won at a high level, I'm absolutely willing to make that trade. But there's so many people that we bought into this. And again, I see people doing it. Well, it's been, 4 years of this. Well, number one, this year isn't over. Okay. And number 2, last year we finished 5th in the SEC. So to compare 2024 to 22 and 23, when we didn't even make Hoover, again, you're just kind of making yourself look foolish. Yeah, but, again, I think some people want change for the sake of change and not really taking an inventory of where we are in the world of college athletics right now. Do you think right now that if we decided, okay, we're going to go make a change, it's not just buying out the current staff, it's buying out the future staff? Oh, you didn't know? Yeah. You got to buy out these contracts and then pay the buyouts on those other contracts. And so, yeah, there's a financial component to this, but also, too, it's just too early to make these decisions. And it's too early for the social media discussion, too. I personally, I think it's detrimental to the program. But here is what I know. I love Mississippi State baseball. I love Mississippi State. I love all of you. I love all of our subscribers at genespage.com and all of our future subscribers and most of our former subscribers. But I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to go cover this team all around the country until this season is over, no matter when that is. If that ends in Hoover or it ends in Omaha, I'm going to be there. I'm going to make that commitment because it's the job. It is my passion. I feel that I owe that to you. I think you deserve to have the best coverage of this baseball program that has ever existed. And that's what you're getting. And you've gotten it for years. And you're getting even more today because of the fact I'm interviewing head coaches from opposing teams and then breaking down true scouting reports of opposing pitchers. All of those things are important to me because you are important to me. And so I share all of that with you because I've seen so many things out there, and it's like there's some people out there that just – I think some people are kind of crisis junkies. I know this. And it's like, hey, I want to be involved in this. And let's just get all this going on. And there are a lot of people out there that take credit for things that they're not responsible for. Oh, we did it. No, you didn't. You didn't do anything. You did nothing. Run your mouth a little bit, but you didn't do anything. And I hear and see that stuff a lot. A lot of people want to hitch their wagon onto people that are decision makers and pretend they had influence. They didn't. That's important to understand. And listen, over the years, I have probably had 20 to 25 people that have told me that it was they that were responsible for talking Dr. Zacharias into hiring Jackie Sherrill. That's probably right. They went and sat and talked with Dr. Zach and said, hey, this is what we need to do. And then there's probably another 20 or 30 that have said that they convinced Larry Templeton. Different people, over the years. Other people tell me, hey, I'm the one that went to Charlie Shira and convinced him to call Ron Polk to be our baseball coach. And so there's a lot of those things that happen. And at the end of the day, it means nothing. It amounts to nothing. But I know this is a long show, but I have a lot to say. But one of the things that I have learned so much about every bit of this, in all of these years of life and recovery, is that insecure people need villains. They need someone to blame. They need someone to look at and say, hey, they're the cause of all of our problems. It's them. Those people that don't think like us. They're the ones that are holding us back. And the truth of the matter is, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, if that's how you feel, you are the problem. You are the one that's holding us back. In order for us to get anything done, there has to be a sense of unity. And again, that's one of the things that I love about the Arkansas Razorback fans. Like if there was a situation a few years ago that a former player had came out and made some accusations about their football program, and you went to their message boards, and it was like, screw that dude. Forget that guy. We have people on our side, if that happened, well, that explains a lot. We just take it, just accept it. Because somebody said something negative about Mississippi State. So it's like, oh, yeah, well, that dadgum John Cohen, that Larry Templeton, Dan Mullen, Sylvester Croom should have known better. I just encourage you to be true maroon. You're certainly entitled to your opinions, but that every time that something negative happens, there's perceived to be negative, for us to just kind of jump and look for a way to assign blame, I just don't think is healthy. And I'm a Mississippi State Bulldog, and I love it. I love it. And I had so many people that text me over the weekend after we lost, and it's just so downtrodden. I guess they turned to me to give them some type of optimism or, the voice of reason. I love being a Mississippi State Bulldog. I love it. I do. And I'm so grateful that my dad chose to attend Mississippi State University and bring us into this family. And he had 3 brothers, I think, that also attended and graduated from Mississippi State before he did. So we're a Mississippi State family. And I feel blessed to be part of the Mississippi State family. And it is so incredibly important to me to be your eyes and ears. I'm a guy that grew up in this, just like all of you. And you bring somebody else in from outside, they're not going to understand the collective psyche of the Mississippi State fan base the way that I will. In 1998, when Brian Hazelwood lined up to kick that field goal to beat Arkansas, I turned to my wife and I said, he's going to miss it. She goes, no, he's not. He's going to make this. I said, no, he's going to miss it because nothing good ever happens to us. That's how I felt. And it was me kind of laying the groundwork to say, I told you so, because I wanted it so bad to go through the uprights. I was trying to prepare myself. Because how many times have we been on the precipice of glory only to have it ripped away from us? And so we've been conditioned at times for failure. And we're dealing with a lot of that now. Not the failure, the insecurity of some within the fan base. Oh, Steve's blaming the fans. I'm blaming you for your own nonsense, because I don't think any of that has anything to do with Mississippi State not winning a basketball game against Baylor. I don't think it had anything to do with Mississippi State winning a women's basketball game against Cal. I don't think you negatively posted them into the victory. I don't think they were motivated by your post on Facebook about how you don't like Sam Purcell. I don't think it mattered. But I think the important thing is, when we're doing something extremely important, the best thing is to have a unified front. It's just my personal opinion. But the reality of it is that, no, we're not making a coaching change in the morning. No, we're not making a coaching change at the end of the month. We may not make a coaching change at all. And I think some of you need to wake up to that too, because, again, it's the same voices, right? It's the same people that told you in 2022, we're going to make a coaching change. We're about to make history. I was like, no, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. 2023, same people. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, trust me, bro. I got even better sources this time. Didn't happen again. And people are like, I remember last year we lose to Central Arkansas, and people are like, oh, yeah, I've heard that everybody's ready to just make the call right now. Wasn't true. Wasn't true. So in my mind, 3 strikes, you're out. You were wrong in 2022. You were wrong in 23. You're wrong in 24. Why should anybody believe you in 25? I guess if you say the same thing over and over and over again, at some point you'll be right. At some point. Maybe 10 years from now, but at some point. So you and your imaginary friends that you call sources, just give it a rest. Give it a rest. I'm going to go cover the Bulldogs. I'm going to pull for the Bulldogs. I want Mississippi State to win. That's what I want. Yeah, but Steve, no. But you. I want State to win. I hope we don't have to make coaching changes in any sport. I hope Jeff Lebby comes out and shocks the world this year and gets an SEC Coach of the Year award. I would love that. I don't need Mississippi State to lose a game so I can feel better about being right. And I wish more people felt that way. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.